Hey there. So, I've been injured recently, and the only thing that is bringing me any amount of joy is painting these tiny little Baby Yodas. So that's what we're going to do today. It's keeping me from my own set of existential dread. Okay. So Baby Yoda is pretty easy to draw. What we're going to start out with a circle. And then he's got two ears, just two lines. And the ears have a secondary little line on them. And then we do two big circles. Kind of close together. Go. And then there's a teardrop shape in between those two. Then these circles will be a little bigger. From this part, there's a little heart. And you can do a second heart shape, maybe a third. From this heart shape, we just kind of draw a quick little line to the side. And then part of the way down his mouth, do a little frowny face. He's always kind of frowny. And then for a nose, do a little circle with two little circles on the side. So we should have something kind of like this. Now, the cool thing about my Baby Yoda is so damn cute is that he's got a pretty basic shape. Disney uses it a lot, and that's mostly if you think about a cat, you're going to come up with something cute. Cat shapes we identify with as adorable. Okay, so we've got these big circle shapes, and we're going to just do a couple little lines on the inside of them. That's his actual eyeball. Take a look at one. I think I made him a little too oval. That's okay, we'll just adjust. All right. Cute. Now to paint him, or her, I don't know if they've given him a sex yet. I'm gonna keep going with him. I take a dark green, this is Jadeite Genuine, it's one of my favorites, and I just go over all the lines that I just drew. Let's get to... He looks sad before he looks cute. Nose, we just go on the bottom of it, maybe a little at the side, his little muzzle, his little frown. Cool. Then I take, this is a lighter green, and basically I'm just gonna run it all over everything and I didn't let that paint dry, so it's gonna bleed a little bit. That's gonna soften the lines, and logo got out of the edges. That's okay too. We don't have to stay in the lines. That's why we do watercolor. All right. Now, stuff looks dumpy for a while. That's just watercolor painting. You have to trust a certain amount that it's gonna look better at some point. All right, I'm just gonna, he's got that big coat. I've been drawing him with that little bowl because I think it's just the cutest that he's eating soup. What's the hygge? The Scandinavian, I don't know, the thing that's supposed to make you happy when you're sitting around in the cold. Mostly you're like wearing nice sweaters and... Oh, anyway. We're not going to worry about his hands too much. We're just going to make two kind of greenish shapes that have kind of some arms, kind of. Nobody's really looking at his hands. And same thing, we're just gonna sort of take a tiny bit of color, swipe it around all over the place. So we have just a basic wash. Here, we have a cute little head, sad looking head, on what looks like a pile of poop. That's exactly where we want to be. So it's starting to dry, which means we can kind of define some of our shapes a little bit here. It's going to be darker along the side of his nose. And the top lip casts a shadow, so it's going to be darker along the bottom of his face too. There he goes. And we're just going to kind of trace along the shapes we made. For his ears, we're going to put just a dash of pink in there. You could put a kind of a tannish color in there, but I think I'm going to put little hearts behind him, so. For his eyeballs, you can either just do straight black, that's fine, or his eyes are kind of this like dark brown, so I'm gonna lay a couple of wash layers in. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's watercolor, it's supposed to be relaxing. Again, too, this is closed, just our suggestion. Maybe something a little darker along his face now, in that shadow that his head casts onto his cloak. Be careful, if this is all too wet, it'll run into each other. Sometimes it does that, and we just let it go. It's cute. He has some kind of ridges in his ears. See, it's doing it over here. It's fine. We'll worry about it later. As I do something about it. Alright, and I'm gonna say we're gonna trace that bottom, frown, bottom jaw, ear, heart, eyeballs, alright, here's my tricky trick for painting this guy. I get a little bit of gouache and I run it as a wash over the top of what I just did. That gives him that kind of soft, glowy feeling. That's the scary part, you can't overdo it too much. If it does, we just go back in, fix it. Maybe a little bit down his nose. And we let that dry. hardest part about recording is usually when I'm painting, I'm listening to like murder podcasts or audiobooks, fantasy, monster stuff. But when I'm recording, it's just me hanging out, having a conversation with myself. Writing's hard for the same reason. So I like about tattooing, I get a captive audience. I just haven't quite learned how to do it with this yet. Come on and dry. And if I had more power, I could use a hairdryer and speed this up a bit. Alright, he's gonna get little hearts. So I think it's cute. I want a big one to go behind his head. Oh, there's his head leaking in there. I got greedy. Got greedy. I knew it was going to happen when I did it anyway. That's alright, I'll go back. Am I now learning my lesson? This part looks a little drier. I want to put a little bit of background behind him. You can, I'm using hearts because he's cute, but you could use anything you want. Mostly because I want to put some little green hairs and some little white hairs kind of coming off of him. And I think it's easier to see that when you have the background. I never expected growing up for there to be another Star Wars, let alone the whole series and a spin-off show. Alright, so it's a little drier, so we can go in and make his tiny little wrinkle lines. Follow along the bottom of his nose again. It's watercolor, it's just all layers. Layers and layers and layers. Those lines look too sharp, so I'll soften them a little. And bring some little white. And I'm going to define those little wrinkles just a little bit. I can also, when I'm doing that gauge, see how wet it is. I'm still kind of wet up there. He's got some creases on his ears here. Alright, let's just bring some little hairs up. Heart there. Heart there. Bottom part of his face is darker. All right, he's gonna dry. these little do do do. Alright, and just a little bit along the bottom of his eyes. Slip. I think he could use a little more definition along this part of his eye. Because remember, his big eyes are resting in sockets, and we can kind of see those peeping out over the top there. Some little dots on his robe too. Alright. Then we do one last layer of dark. Inside of his eyes there. As close to black as we're gonna get. You can skip at all the browns too and do an all black eye. It's still cute. A little too dark on his little mouth there. Getting greedy. I like to turn it up just a little bit so he's got a little tiny bit of a smile there. Bit of a shadow. That's gonna be dark. Where his eyelid is. Okay. Now he just needs highlights, and we need those to dry to do them. Okay, last little bit. I let those eyes dry. You know, sometimes I get greedy. Nope, still pretty wet.